We got some new sheets of plexiglass in. I called Anchorage last week and ordered them. Same thing that I had before. I'm only going to need a little bit of this clear stuff for that one angle window up in the front. And then I got a piece of the smoke, same thing as I had before for the skylight. They came in today on the Ace Air cargo, which winds up being the least expensive way to get that shipped down here is to ship it down on Ace Air from Anchorage. It was 46 bucks, and it would have cost me 90 bucks to have it shipped on AML, plus whatever the delivery charge is down there from a plastic place in the Seattle area to get it to AML in the first place. So, and it would have taken me 2 weeks. This took just about a week to get it. I think I ordered it Thursday or something like that, so actually it did pretty good. Well, now I can take out that window. I've got the triangular window still there in the front. Once I put it in, I didn't fool with it anymore. I can take it out, mark it out on here and cut it out, and I'll take that skylight off, go ahead and mark it out on that piece, and cut it out, fit it up there again. That might have been just as inexpensive just to buy the windows pre-done from somebody, but getting them shipped here again would have been a fortune. So I put this bottom in, this cover over the underseat storage or the seat bottom, whatever you want to call it. I got it put back in. I cut it out along this edge here so it'd have room to clear that seat belt attach, and that should work out now. So I had to sand it down, put some new varnish on it, and let it sit overnight. The varnish is not sticky, but it's still soft, so you have to be careful with that a little bit. It's in there now, except for putting the seat in. I think that pretty much finishes that up in there. We still have to put the seat belts in, but and the labels on. I got kind of excited yesterday when I finished putting this crossbar in and got it set up so it worked good. I thought I was all done except for putting the seats in, which I didn't want to do until after I get closer to being finished with the airplane so they don't get damaged. And then as I got to looking, I remembered there was a few things that I still needed to do up here. I wanted to put this nameplate in here for the airplane. This was on the other airframe, but there was a whole plate here covering up all of the instruments and stuff, or all of the switches and stuff with this on it. And this is the piece that I salvaged. I cut it off from the rest of the panel with the intention of putting it in here. And the other thing that I didn't have in yet was the compass correction card. Well, I've got a little bracket that screws on the instrument panel. I kind of like that for a compass correction card. I got it for the other airframe because it didn't have one in it when it came from Cub Crafters, and I got dinged on that by the FAA when I got here. So anyway, just a little bracket, and there are little cards that slide in it for compass correction, and just holds on to the instrument panel with a little screw. It's easy to change the compass correction factors on there as if something changes on the compass when you reswing it or something, because it's just a little card that slides in and out of behind a clear plastic piece. And I'd set that away someplace where it wouldn't get lost, and of course, like everything else I put away that so it won't get lost, I can't find it. So I started going through all the boxes and stuff here looking for it, all the things that I've had everything stored in for the last 3 years as I took that other airframe apart, and I went through everything and I couldn't find it, hide nor hair of it. Well, I had a whole bunch of stuff in here, odds and ends of pieces that were off of that other airframe that I didn't use on this one, and odds and ends of pieces, cut-offs from the Kydex and stuff like that I don't need up here anymore. So I started packaging that stuff up and take it down to the hangar to put it away down there. Then I started looking for these parts and stuff again. Well, I couldn't find the compass correction card, and I went through everything on that. I thought, well, okay, well, I'll just put this little number plate up. And I started going through everything, and I couldn't find it. And I went through all my boxes with all my little parts and stuff in it, and all my big boxes. I went through everything 3 or 4 times, and I pulled down some more stuff that I haven't used for a while and went through those boxes, even though I had this nameplate out just the other day, because I took some paint and black paint and painted the raw edges on that where the aluminum showed through where it was cut, just these edges here on the sides. So I just had it out. I knew it was here someplace, and I couldn't find it. Well, I started cleaning things up. I thought maybe it fell down behind something or something else. And finally, about midnight, I decided when I wasn't here, I was going to go down to the recycle barrel and go through it. I started going through it, and this little piece here is all black with the white numbers on it, and all that Kydex and stuff in there was all black, and I had some aluminum pieces that were black, and I went through all those pieces, and sure enough, that had got mixed up in with the Kydex stuff and got thrown in the recycle bin. I dug it out, and I just mounted it up here. I have these vinyl labels that I got through Aircraft Spruce that I was going to use in here, and once I started trying to put them on these things, I didn't really like the looks of them, but they did have a compass correction card. Actually, they had two different styles on there, so I went ahead and put that compass correction card on there, that vinyl one, and that'll work okay. Actually, it's not too bad. I like the little card better, but that's not too bad. Well, anyway, I didn't wind up getting too much done, because once I started looking for that, I thought maybe it fell down on the floor, and I got down on there and started looking, and I had a kind of mess. And even though I sweep the floor in here and clean up every day, that underneath that bench was pretty dirty, and the shelf underneath there was pretty dirty, and stuff had just been stuffed in there. So I started pulling things out and going through things, and I spent most of the day today just I had to crawl underneath that bench with a broom and sweep that all out in a vacuum cleaner, and got that cleaned out underneath. And then that lower shelf, or that middle shelf, I guess the only shelf on that, I got it, pulled it all out, cleaned it all up, straightened out my tools there, got them all straightened out again. That's what I've been doing. And then I pulled down a bunch of the stuff up there off that upper shelf and hauled it down to the hanger. Well, that's taken up most of the day today. Today was kind of a lost day, but got the place cleaned up anyway. We got this piece fitted up pretty good. I had to taper it a little bit here on this back side. It's not exactly square here. I thought I ruined it. Used the hole saw there to cut this hole in there, and when the pilot bit went in to the plexiglass, when it come through the other side, I heard a crack. I thought, oh crap, I just ruined the whole thing, but I decided to go ahead and go all the way through. It came out okay. If it cracked, I think the board I used for a backing piece had a little bit of a relief on it there where it had been drilled once before, and when that bit came out, there wasn't any support for it coming through. I tried not to push too hard on it. I don't think that was the case. I think it was just because it was unsupported on the back side. Once the saw got into the plexiglass and cut it out, it made a good cut there. So this thing will be fine. I'm going to polish up the edges on everything now. It'll fit in there fine. It'll work, unless I do something else to screw it up between now and the time we get the airplane flying, but it looks pretty good. I got the new left front window cut out, shaped up, got the edges all polished up and everything. I took the protective sheet off of both sides of it and washed it down with soap and water. Got it leaning up there now to kind of shake some of the water off. I'll get a towel and dry it off, and then coat it with some plastic cleaner, some polish, get it polished up. Now I'm starting to work on that skylight. That one almost makes me sick to do, because it was on there so nice and neat, except for where I burned it back there in the back, but it's got to come off there and be redone. Well, that thing is pretty right up until you get back to where the burn is on it. Well, anyway, I've got the fairings off the front and the back, and I've got one more screw to take off of there on that center section. Well, here's the old new piece, or the new old piece, or whatever you want to call it, laying out on top of the new piece. And I just laid it out on top of there and running lines down the sides of it there for dimension. And I'll go ahead and take this piece off of here now and run those lines out with the ruler so they run out to the ends, and then take this down to the bandsaw and cut that off. I took that down to the hanger and cut it off to shape to fit. So to set this up, I took the piece that I'd already made and overlaid it over to the new piece. Then I took some spring clamps, some of those cheap plastic Harbor Freight spring clamps, and clamped down all around it. Well, I took a pencil and transferred the holes into the new piece all the way around. I got this thing all drilled out, all the holes drilled out. I took a 3/32, or maybe it was a number 40 drill bit, tried to center it on each one of these where I had them marked out, laid out with the pencil, centered them on there, and drilled the holes out with that. Then I came back over them with a number 27 drill bit, which is a close clearance bit for a number 6 screw. And then I went and got my reamers. I started out with a 9/64, and then I went through with a 5/32 reamer. That gives it plenty of clearance around each one of these holes. Then I did something I didn't do before on there. I took this countersink and went over each one of those holes and chamfered them a little bit just to deburr them. I'm going to go ahead and set this thing up on the fuselage and make sure all the holes line up before I do anything else. Although that's a moot point now. If it doesn't line up, there's not a hell of a lot I can do about it. But well, that's a relief. I got that set up on there, fitted up on there, and some screws in, and all the screw holes match up just like they were made for it. You'd almost think somebody knew what they were doing. I'll take that off there now and clean up the edges and everything and get everything all polished up, all the holes and everything polished up, so we don't get any place to generate any cracks, and we'll see if we can fit it on there without screwing it up. The skylight is all ready to go on. Get the holes all deburred and sanded out, all the edges all cleaned up and everything with sandpaper. And I took the paper off of it and took it down and washed it with soap and water and rinsed it off with good hot water. I use, I don't know, it's called 210 or something like that. That is a wax cleaner that I use. Cleaned it and waxed it with that. So it's ready to go on the airplane now. I screwed up a little bit. I can tell which is the front and which is the back, because the front has more holes in it and the back only has 3 on each side, or 6 total. And when I had the paper on it, I knew which side was which. I know which end is which, the front end from the back end, but now I can flip it over 180 degrees and flop it over one way or flop it over the other. I'm pretty sure the thing's not 100% symmetrical, so it's got to fit on one way or the other. I have to figure out which way is up on it now. When it has paper on it, you can tell because the one side of the paper is marked and the other side is plain, and the plain side is the one that I had set up for out, but I forgot to make any kind of a mark on it or anything to tell which is the upside and downside on it once the paper's off. Well, it's on there and it's nice and clean. I put it on and tightened it up in the front, got these screws started back here, and then left them loose and loosened up the ones in the middle, and I took the heat gun and worked it over for, I don't know, half hour or longer, trying to get it to heat form. I was afraid to put it in any one spot or put too much heat to it, and it's such a big area there. I heated up here, and then I tried to heat up along here to get that curve to come this way. It's pretty well formed the way it is, and I think I got this. I was just afraid to hold the heat on there too long like I did before and blister that. It's sealed up pretty good underneath this weather strip here, and it conforms pretty good there, so I think that looks pretty good. That's the way it's going to be, I guess. At least it's not screwed up there yet. I'll put this away for the night, figure out something else to work on now. I got that left front corner window in, got it all in and sealed up, seated in with, I put a little bit more zinc chromate paste in that. Anyway, it's in there. No cracks, no runs, no errors.